Hi, I'm Pearl Howie, and this is my Freedom series, and this is part 9, Ancient Wisdom. And I'm dressed a little bit differently today. I'm doing this a little bit differently because I want to use Zumba as an example. I'm just an instructor, I'm just a Zumba instructor. I'm not a ZES or a ZJ or anything else, anything special like that. So, this is not even really a Zumba class, but the reason I want to talk about it is because Zumba's been so important to me, and it helps me, to understand ancient wisdom. It helps me to understand what's kind of going on. And so sometimes it's easier for me to teach by dancing. Sound crazy? Does that sound crazy? Well, the thing is, that's the truth in a lot of ancient cultures and a lot of current cultures. Dancing is something so important. And music, oh my gosh, is so important because it helps us to express our truth. It helps us to be free. It helps us to release what's going on within us. And the reason I'm doing this one is, when I do this freedom series, what I'm doing is every time, something comes up and it's like, okay, this is the next lesson, this is what I need to talk about and teach. If I may have your permission to teach you. I was talking just over a week ago to a young girl, and we were talking about books, about spiritual things. And as we were talking, it's a very interesting thing because I've read so many books, I've studied with so many teachers, and I've written books, and I've written books about books, I've written a book that's about 500 different types of healing from all different kind of cultures around the world. And when I was talking to her, I felt very much like I don't want to just tell her what I did. I don't want to just tell her what's true for me, what's right for me, what I believe. Because that's not what I teach when I talk about ancient wisdom. So if you know like my work, my books, I've written about a journey that I took. But the reason for writing that journey is not to say to everybody, oh, go and do the same thing. It's really, what I was writing about was my journey, the steps that I took, the order I had to take them in. And, it may be that other people experience the journey in a completely different way. And as I'm rereading this at the moment on Instagram, and I'm doing little reads, and what I'm finding is there's a real correlation between experiences I had back then when I was wandering around with a backpack all around the world, and right now when I'm, locked down, and I want to say the word safe. I'm being very safe at the moment. So safe. Oh, drive me nuts. Okay, but so, but there's a correlation. There's a correlation between lessons I learned, things I learned on that trip and those experiences and what I'm going through right now. So it's really weird because when I read it, I'm like, okay, this is an experience I had. And what I learned, like in the first part of that journey, was take what you need and let go of the rest. And that to me was just like, a ringing bell when we were seeing people going nuts in the shopping, supermarkets and things like that. And it's a thing that's kind of come up to me over and over again. When I'm here, I'm trying to figure out, what do I actually need? Why do I actually need to leave the house? Why do I need to go here? What do I need there? And it's really understanding what I need, which is different to what other people need. And so what I mean is that we all have our own journey, and it's really important we respect that. Respect is so, so important. But when I grew up, when I was the same age as this lovely girl I was talking to, I was studying maths. I was in university and I was studying maths, I was studying film, and I did not like anything that wasn't locked down, I loved the things that were black and white. I loved knowing a straight answer. I loved being a film geek and knowing who the director was and who the lighting guy, I didn't know who the lighting guy was, but I knew the names of all the actors. I didn't like it if I watched a film and I didn't know everybody's name. I didn't know all the other films that they'd been in, And I wanted to know all that stuff, because it felt like if I knew all that stuff, nothing could hurt me. You know, if I knew everything, if I had that knowledge, oh, how great would that be? And I want to talk about this because I have some fantastic teachers around the world, and I love what they teach. I love the way that they teach it. But so many of my best teachers, the greatest teachers, grew up in a culture of mystery. They grew up in a culture of wise men and wise women and Buddhist temples and all these incredible things. And I grew up in a very repressed country called England. And I grew up in a country of, you know, top of the pops, where we just knew what's the top songs, who they buy, what's their names. You know, that was the thing. We had a pop quiz, a pub quiz mentality of we needed to have our general knowledge. That was so important. I don't know if you remember the feeling of that, you know, maybe way back when. And we did a quiz a little while ago with the family, and I was like, I have no general knowledge anymore. I don't know any of the TV shows. I don't know half the films, you know. And I'm actually kind of proud of that. Not because I want to be ignorant, but because, you know, my interests have changed. You know, and I don't really need to know who's top of the pops anymore. It's not part of my interest, really, you know. But I love music. Of course I love music. I'm a Zumba instructor. But what kind of gets me going more now is when somebody lets slip like a really amazing like African song, or tells me about a kind of rhythm, you know, or I'm doing a masterclass which I did last week on dembo, which is a kind of rhythm between reggaeton and soca. And you're like, what? What's reggaeton? What's soca? That's fine. But you know what I mean? I've gone into a deep kind of learning about the things that matter to me, the things that I need, the things I care about. I can tell you all about certain small towns in Spain that I've travelled through, you know. But I kind of skip out a lot of things that other people might think are really important. And that's okay. And so it's really going from knowledge to wisdom. And knowledge, oh my God, at the moment we're trying, you know, there's so much. I think we can all understand that there are times when we want to know what's going on, but when we go and try and watch the news or read a paper, you know, we get overwhelmed with opinions, some facts, some scenarios, some possibilities, some potential history. We don't really know this, we don't know that. So we get overwhelmed with a kind of like a hazy sort of knowledge, some of which is presented as absolute fact, which might not be, and some of which is presented as supposition, which might be fact. We don't know. So confusing. So our knowledge is kind of breaking down, and we can see as well that when we try and absorb this kind of knowledge, it's kind of unhealthy for us. You know, we talk all the time, and I know, like, you know, we keep saying, even on the news, they're saying, don't watch the news for too long, don't watch TV for too long. Even the TV station's saying, don't watch the TV for too long because it'll mess with your head. Which is something I've known for a long time. But over here is wisdom. And what does that mean? What does wisdom mean? Now, really great, I think it's a great joke, and it's kind of like, you know, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, not a vegetable. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Yes? So wisdom kind of goes beyond knowledge. And I kind of, you know, one of the things I talk about, when I was this girl's age, I had my life exploded by all the things I didn't know, all the things I couldn't know. And so it kind of felt like if I knew everything, I would be protected. If I knew everything, I would be safe. And I don't know if you ever felt like that. Maybe we feel a bit like that now. But what I've learned, and it's taken me a really, really long time to learn that, is that sometimes even the things that go wrong for a reason. That even with all the knowledge, an actual knowledge, not just like puffy knowledge, fake knowledge, fake news. Even with all that knowledge, even with all the wisdom in the world, that doesn't mean to say we're not going to have troubles. We're all going to have trouble, because that's life. And whatever we do in life, we're going to have some problems. And this is one of the difficulties I have with a lot of the supernatural or what would you call spiritual or kind of schools and everything that's out there, and it's all this kind of stuff, and it's like a lot of the stuff you're going to hear is, if you just believe in yourself, you can manifest £1 million. If you just believe in yourself, you're never ever ever going to have an illness. If you just believe in yourself, you're going to be really thin, and it doesn't matter what you eat, and you're going to do this. So basically, are we seriously? Do you believe that? It's not a problem if you do. It's not your fault if you do. Because come on, it's a really great story, isn't it? It's a great story. I want to believe it. I want to believe I could just sit here and go, £1 million, £1 million. That'd be great, right? So we kind of there's a lot of bump. And it's the same thing with Zumba, with dance, with exercise, with fitness. Because what I love is I go online, because I do Zumba, because I do fitness, because I'm always on these things. How many adverts do you think I get popping up all the time saying, weight loss program, fitness program, this thing, I had one the other day about kettlebells. I was like, really? You're going to try and get me on a kettlebell workout right now? I don't think so. Ain't going to happen. But I've tried it all. I went to the gym, I did all the classes, I tried everything. And what was the last thing I tried? Zumba! Yay! It was the last thing I tried, because when I found it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. For me, this is it. And you might be looking at me and thinking, she's not really skinny. No, I'm not. But I want to get started on the number of injuries that I've had in the last couple of years that I've then been able to get back to Zumba from, and Zumba has helped me to recover from those injuries. So I may not be skinny, but I tell you what I am. I'm walking around and my back is about right, my foot's about right, my shoulders are about right, I can do everything pretty much that I want to do, and that's a miracle. Yeah, and I want to talk about the word miracle a little bit as well. Because I've seen miracles, I've seen a lot of miracles, and that's a word I think that freaks people out, it makes people very uncomfortable. And I think the thing is that the sort of, as I say, there's certain people who come to mind, I don't want to say their names, but that's the thing, is that we go into a life and we say, like I say, I could say come to Zumba, and I could look at that program and I could say, this is a weight loss program, and I didn't lose weight. So it's failed me, right? No, not at all. Because I know the truth of it. I know the truth of what it's done for me, And I know the truth of where I've been and how bad I felt and how it's rescued me. And it's rescued me from depression. It's rescued me from jobs that I hated. It's rescued me from low self-esteem. It's rescued me from depression. It's rescued me from feeling that I don't make sense, because when I'm teaching, I make sense, and it made me feel perfect, and that's what I love about Zumba. It made me feel that I was in the right place at the right time with the right people, and it did give me miracles, because what happened was, the first time when I started just as a student going to Zumba, I hurt my back. And all I could think was, so many times, oh no, I'm going to have to give up Zumba. Oh no. And I actually had medical professionals tell me I had to give up Zumba because it was bad for me. This is way back when, when it first started. Well, not first started, but 2010. And then I went to another one, I went to like a physio, and he said, no, you're doing the absolute best thing for your body. but you just gotta work on your core muscles. He said, you know, I know you love Zumba and it's really good for your core muscles, but your core muscles are a bit weaker. So you got to do a little bit of foundation work. You've actually got to go and do pre-work work. You've got to do a pre-workout workout. So that's what I have to do. And I have to kind of do some physio exercises for my back to get me ready. And when I'm on fire, like when I'm teaching normally, I don't need those exercises, because in a normal day to day, you know, this does it. I get it, and it's all right, and I'm good. I don't need anything else. But when I hurt it, I've got to really take care of that, okay? Because I've got a pre-existing injury. Same thing with my ankle. This is all really good for me, but sometimes we have an injury that we need to take care of. And I think that's the truth about a lot of the spiritual stuff out there, a lot of the kind of manifesting and this and that and the other. And we have this thing when people say, oh, you know, do this, do this. But if we have a pre-existing injury, if we have something underneath that, and we just go straight into one of these schools of thought, these mystery schools, I mean, we can actually use that, whatever that wisdom is, whatever that teaching is, and we can make it a lot worse. So we need to be totally aware of what's going on for us. So we need to be aware of our mind, body, spirit, existing injuries. Because I will tell you this, if you have an ego problem and you use it right, Zumba will help clear that ego. But if you use it wrong, it will make your ego much, much worse. And I have seen this, and I know this from personal experience. And what you kind of want to do is you kind of want to do something like, you know, Zumba, and you do it and your ego gets a bit bigger, it gets like a little balloon, and then the process will pop it, and you'll go, and you realise, uh-oh, I made a mistake. And you learn from it and you grow from it, because it's a process. It's not just, you know, you don't just do it one day and it's done. And that's one of the things we forget about things like, you know, I want to say meditation. Yeah. We can use meditation to make ourselves worse, or we can use it to make ourselves better. And I don't mean that in a worse, better, you know, kind of way. I'm talking about, like, you know, having really bad back pain. We can exacerbate and make an injury worse, or we can make it better. Am I losing you? Am I going a bit deep? Let me bring it back up and make it a little bit easier. So talking about ancient wisdom, so I've travelled all the way around the world. I've written a book about 500 different types of healing. And one of the things I was talking about before was, when I grew up, we kind of had one school of healing, and it was called a GP. In England, it's called a general practitioner. And when you got sick, when I was growing up, you go to your GP. And if your GP is not very good, they can make your situation a hell of a lot worse. And so, you know, that's the thing. Then you need to kind of go to your specialist. And that's, you know, that's the thing. We have a very, like, a monoculture of, right, we've got one solution. And what I have learned with, you know, ancient wisdom and healing around the world, there are thousands of ways of healing. And each one is right for somebody at a certain time. So things that I would do, you know, when I first started out would not be right for me now. And the most important thing, we've got all these solutions, we've got hundreds, thousands of books and solutions and all this kind of thing. The most important thing is that you trust your heart as to what is the right thing for you in any one moment. So everything that's out there, everything we're doing, if it does not feel right to you, I said it before about spas, if it doesn't feel right to you, you say no. If it doesn't feel right to you, walk away. But you have to be careful, because sometimes, you know, it's really hard, because like when I do my physio exercises from the back, I do not like them. They make me feel sore. But I know that they work. I know that it's the right thing for me to do. And sometimes when we have a really bad injury, an emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, whatever injury, sometimes it's so hard to know, you know, because sometimes, you know, the thing that helps us can, in one moment, can be the thing that doesn't help us in another moment. And I suffer from migraines. And it's very strange because a lot of things that can make you feel better can also be triggers. So I have to really kind of be wise when I try to, you know, avoid them, or if I feel like one's coming on, I have to be very wise about what I do. Okay. So for example, Zumba can be really great for that. Like I said, it's really good for my back. But if I've already injured it, or there's it's gone too far, I've got to be more careful. I've got to be very, very careful about what I do. So talking about the ancient wisdom, I want to take one thing. So this was when I went to have an awakening. It wasn't called awakening on the menu. It was called Tuakta. It was called healing, and it was with a Native American healer, shaman in Phoenix, near Phoenix in Arizona. And it was a great session. It was 2 hours, and the first hour we just talked, you know, and then the second hour I had a massage, which just blew my mind. It really went like that. And I went, like that. And it was very much, it's funny, I was watching a clip yesterday about the Matrix. And when I went and had this healing, I went to it with it really feeling like I want to know the truth. I'm ready to deal with stuff. I'm ready for stuff to come up. I'm ready to just be completely truthful and honest. And it was a bit like that thing in The Matrix, if you've ever seen it, where the guy says to the main character, you know, you take the red pill and you wake up, and you take the blue pill and you go back to sleep. And I took the red pill. I was like, whoa, you know, and then life is never the same again. But what happened is when we sat down in this room. Now I've been studying healing for 6 to 10 years, you know, all kinds. I've been going to all these weird places and doing firewalking and doing all the weirdest massages I could find. But what was really bugging me was how many times I would end up in the right place at the right time. How many times I would kind of instinctively know something. So I'm not talking about the knowledge in terms of this knowledge over here. I'm talking about, you know, that feeling when you know something. You know, when you know, whatever's going on, you know something. And that freaked me out at that time because I had wanted to live in a black and white world. I had wanted to live in a safe, logical, I didn't want to have anything to do with massage, I didn't want to have anything to do with things like Reiki, I didn't want to have anything to do with meditation, you know, all that stuff. No. And then one day I decided to, this is way back, I just decided to say yes. Did that like yes thing, you know. And I said yes to one kind of spiritual experience, and it was just like, I was like, whoa. You know, and that was 6-10 years before this awakening. And so, you know, I was going through this process, and, you know, I think the thing is this is impossible. This is impossible that I know this. This is impossible. This is a coincidence. 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 Okay, it's not coincidence. All right, okay, I get it, you know. There's a deeper connection here. There's a connection to family and friends. There's a connection to the earth. There's a connection to even technology. There's a connection to love and music and books. And, you know, so when I go into a bookshop, you know, a book will fall into my hand. It's like, whoa, I was just thinking about that. Anybody had that? So that kind of knowing, and that, you know, when you meet somebody and you just kind of, you know, connect. And I have one of my greatest teachers of all time was Susan Jeffers. And I wrote to her before she died, and she's just the most amazing teacher. And I disagree with her about many, many things, because I'm way Mumbian. I've gone way more Mumbian than she ever was. She wrote a book about love. It's a great book about love. Amazing book about love. I highly recommend it. But the two things I really disagree with her on is unconditional love, because I've experienced that, so I know what unconditional love feels like. I've written a whole book about it. And the other thing is love at first sight. Because she had a love at first sight experience, and she sort of debunked it in the book. And she wrote all about, that it's hormones, it's this, it's that, like that. And the thing is, I had a really powerful, connection with somebody that I met. And we met, and it was, I kid you not, it's like, there was no movie that anyone's ever made about romance. It was more romantic than how we met and how it all came together. I don't think I've even told those stories, like, in books or anything. But that love at first sight, that deep connection. And it was the kind of thing, and as we went on, but that happened to me too. But I think that as well. No, but that happened to me too. And that happened, this thing. And when we met, it was so amazing. But then very shortly after we met, it started to go wrong. And things started to go wrong. And what happened was, we were in this great romance, beautiful, it was all wonderful, it was everything you ever dream of. And then over here's the real world, And we were kind of rooted in the real world. We were rooted in paying the mortgage, paying the bills. We were rooted in decades of listening to movies and songs and everything that everybody tells you about love and relationships and this kind of thing, And even our heartbreak from previous relationships. So we had this kind of fluffy, golden, running through the, all that, running along the beach, love, it was amazing. And over here the world said, nah, not possible. Your love is impossible. Your love isn't real. Your love is just pheromones. Your love is just endorphins. It's just, puppy love. It's just this, it's just that, it's just the other. And so we kind of had a mashup, and it was awful, because it was kind of like, here was the world saying, you can't do this, what you feel isn't real, what you're experiencing isn't real, that other person can't be that great. Nobody's that great. Nobody's amazing as you think this other person is. You are not as amazing as this person thinks you are. So when this person says to you, you're the best person I've ever met, you're the most beautiful, you're the most your ego says, this person's lying. Your ego says, they don't really love you. It's not real. It's not real. Not good, is it? And that's unfortunately what ego does to us. And at that time, I wasn't able to stand up to all the knowledge I had. I wasn't able to stand up to all the things that said to me, you can't live your life this way. All the things that said, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And we had broken up. And what happened is, so when I walked into this session with this healer, all those things that I knew had been in conflict and had kind of, this is what I know in my heart, and this is what the world is telling me in my head. And so I walked into this room and I sat down with her and I said to her, I had all these questions about, Native American healing, and this is the real deal. This is somebody who really knows what she's doing. And I sat down with her and I wanted to ask her all these questions. And I said to her, I didn't ask about the boyfriend. What I actually said to her is, what do you do when you know stuff? When you know stuff in your heart? And she replied like a really good healer, like a therapist. She said, what do you do? And I didn't think about it, I just said, I push it down. I push it down. And she went, like a good therapist does, And in that moment I realised what I had been doing to myself. I had been pushing down all of my wisdom. I would have been pushing down all the times when I knew better. All the times when I knew better about my relationships, I knew better about my work, I knew better about what I was doing. And yet I told myself, listen to the knowledge, listen to the ego, don't listen to my heart. All those times that I had wanted to just say, I love you. All those times I wanted to say I love you to my friends, to my family, to do something that was expressing my love and what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, pushed down. And Don Miguel Ruiz is a great teacher of mine, who I also disagree with on a daily basis, because we have a different perspective. He says it's amazing thing. He says, what makes you happy is the love coming out of you. Yeah, and that's wisdom. Wisdom is just loving. You know, wisdom is allowing the love to come out of us. It doesn't mean doing what everyone else says. It doesn't mean, because you can't. There's too many people telling you different things. You can't do it. So anyway, I'm going to bring this back to Zumba a little bit and demonstrate a few of the things I've been talking about. So what's your big questions? The big questions are, who do I study with? Whoever feels right for you. You know, I'm always recommending books. At the back of my book, I've written loads of books myself and everything. But we all come at it from different places in the heart. And the most important thing is that don't get too attached to any one teacher. Once you get to a certain point with a teacher, you know, very often we'll get to a place where maybe they're teaching something that we can't learn from them. So I had some amazing teachers when I first started doing Zumba as a student. And one of them was a guy, and oh my God, I think, you know, he's a gay guy, but I was in love with him, and it was just, he really helped me through a difficult time in my life because I was getting over a different breakup. And but what I remember is he was always trying to teach this move, and he was a real hardcore teacher. I mean, his class used to kill me, and I used to do it all the time. It was really good. And he used to do this move, and it was kind of like, every time he did it, I was like, couldn't get it. And it was just actually quite simple. It was kind of something like that, you know, da, 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 da. But when we learn Zumba, you know, we don't break it down. So it's kind of at speed. So sometimes somebody's doing something and it looks so fast. It also, and you're like, what did they do? What did they do? I can't get it. And I always remember when he went, I think he left, and I was devastated, absolutely devastated that he left. And we had a new girl come in for Tuesday night. I loved her so much, she's so great. And I couldn't follow most of what she did. She did all these kind of crazy, like, da 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 da. But when she came in, she did this move, you know, and she did it to a different rhythm, and she kind of went, da 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 da, ba, da 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 da, you know, and she did it. And like the first time she did it, I followed her, and I got it. I was like, oh, that's the move. You know, that's the move I've been trying to learn. But I couldn't learn it from this guy. Even though I loved him, even though I followed most of his moves, there was just something about the way she did that same move that the penny dropped. You know, that I kind of got it. So I would say don't get attached to one teacher, because there are so many. And what I love about Zumba is when I started, so I was just in love with my actual teachers in the room. They were so great. But honestly, a lot of the time they weren't really teaching Zumba. They were teaching pop, they were teaching things, there was sometimes breaking it down, you know, it was this. We used to have some very long water breaks, you know, and there was a lot of messing about with the CD, like, which song do you want next? And so when I went to do my very first masterclass with Loretta Bates, who's an amazing instructor, and who's doing online classes now during the pandemic, please go check her out. She also teaches belly dance, and she's an amazing, amazing person. I disagree with her a lot as well, all the time. But when I went to do her masterclass, this was my basic training. I think it was an hour and 15 minutes. And she did a variety of rhythms. So she didn't just do pop, she did flamenco, she did samba, she did cha-cha-cha, she did all this kind of stuff. My body had not done a lot of these rhythms. She also pressed play on the music, and she didn't stop. She didn't stop for an hour and 15 minutes. There was no water break. It was just full on, an hour and 15 minutes. I thought I was going to die. And I remember she changed direction all the time. You know, I was used to teaching like this. Suddenly, right, everyone to the left, you know, suddenly and back, da, 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 da. All right, everyone to the back. I was like, what's going on? I don't know where I'm going. It was like that. This is everything going on. And I was so challenged. And I remember there's a thing we say in Zumba and a lot of other things like travel, and it's like, I love it, please make it stop. I love it, please make, I can't take much more of this. It was so good, I couldn't take much more. Don't. Okay, so we're doing our all this, an hour and a quarter. And then we did this training and we were teaching everything. And I am like, you know, A student, overachiever, no fitness background whatsoever, just a Zumba instructor. So every time somebody she asked a question, she was doing this, and I was like, is this the answer? No, you're wrong. Is this the answer? No, you're wrong. So what I really took from that is how much I had to learn. And, you know, Loretta's been, I mean, you know what I love about Loretta? She is like probably, right now, she may be one of the top 2 or 3 popular instructors in the world for Zumba. And when I met her, when I did my B1, she had just done the B side, you know, the one-to-one side of her first Zumba DVD. So she was so excited about that. She was so happy. And she gave us all her email address and she said, look, any problems you've got, just email me. Did I email her? Of course I did. I was like, Loretta, what's that song that goes da-da-da-da Zumba? And I look back and think, oh, I can't believe I asked her that stupid question. I can't believe I asked such stupid questions. And she was so great and she was so patient and she was so kind. And I was very lucky to meet her husband, her kids at that same time. And it was a very memorable training. And, you know, what I love about it is she's always remembered me. And I suppose the thing is, she's that kind of instructor, she's the kind of teacher. I can't remember if there were times when I wanted to give up. You know, I can't remember. But I do know that for, you know, probably about 2 or 3 years when I was being a Zumba instructor, I was teaching every week, sometimes every day. I do remember that I never felt good enough. You know, I always felt I wasn't really a proper Zumba instructor. And she always treated me just like, you know, a friend, a colleague, you know, not even like a student. She always treated me like I was part of this great gang. You know, it was like the coolest kid in school, always kind of coming up to you and coming up to me and going, hey, how are you? Do you want to meet my other friends? You know, and I was like, it does not matter how bad I feel about myself. It doesn't matter how much I put myself down, or my dance skills, or my fitness skills. It doesn't matter how many people I get dissed by on social media or anything like that. It doesn't matter about any of those people. And I can go 10 rounds with them, that's fine. We'll talk about Zumba, I'll fight you. You know, it's like, because the coolest kid in school thinks I'm good enough. And you know, so many times, like, you know, when I turned up first day at convention, it was like before it even started, and I remember I walked in and we put something on social media. She'd said, are you coming? And I put on the long post, I put something like, no, I can't afford it, da, 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 da. And I was one of, like, you know, 500 people writing a comment. She's that huge. And I always remember I came in the first day and I was like, I knew no one. I knew not a soul at convention, because very few people from England came. I didn't even know the English, like, Zess is the top instructor. I didn't know anybody. I literally knew Loretta, and that was it, right? And I met her, well, no, I'd met her twice, but I met her in the state, in London before. And so I'd met this woman on 2 occasions. And I came in, I was in this huge thing, right? I'm standing there, there's, you know, probably about 20, 30 foot high posters of Loretta on the wall, like that. Like that. I was like, whoa. She's on all the DVDs, you know, pictures were everywhere as well. I was like, whoa. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Everyone's scared I'm going to be so bad. Oh, everyone's going to laugh at me. It's going to be terrible. And I'm walking through this huge lobby, and all of a sudden there's a Loretta there. She's like, and I'm like, hi, hello. Not even like that. So, hi. And she goes, oh my God, I'm so glad, I can't believe you're here. She goes, I thought you weren't coming. I was like, and I'm like, all that's going through my head is, she thinks I'm someone else. She thinks I'm a different person because she cannot possibly remember me from 2 meetings and from being as huge and big and amazing as she is. So I went, I really wish I was exaggerating. I really wish I was joking. I was like this. And right here is this setup, right? It's the game, the Zumba game, which has just come out, and she's the star. So the setup is here, and then just then, like one of the top zesses from England shows up, Donna. Donna turns up, who I've never met, but everyone else in England knows. And Donna's like, and the two of them go like this, and they're like, oh, should we give this game a go? They're like ones, I think they're both starring and everything. So the two of them, and then, they're having a dance off in front of this game and all this, and I'm just standing like this, taking pictures. I'm like taking pictures of this game because I'm like, oh, that's so amazing. This is so amazing. Oh my God, I can't believe they're here. Oh, this is so amazing. And I really didn't say another word to Loretta at that time because I was like, just so, like, oh, I'm at a convention. Oh, so there's really famous people here. Oh, I mean, the thing is, right, okay, I've been to the Cannes Film Festival. I've worked with movie stars. And I was like, oh, so like, who is this person? Who is this person I've become? Because, I'm like, I was not cool at school. I was not cool. I was not a sports person. I was nothing, I'm like complete geek. Anyway, and what happened was I kind of realised through convention, as, I just had the best time. It was amazing. And I kind of think, pal, maybe she did recognise you. Maybe she was being nice to you, not the person that you think she thinks you were. So we get to the after party. It's an amazing party, and it's actually, so we come in and Loretta's there, and I had planned this in my head, when you can't, you're not really cool enough to like just say stuff. You have to plan it all out. So I went up to her, okay. Oh, hi Loretta. Hi. And I said, I'm really sorry I was rude when I met you at the beginning. I said, because I said, honestly, when you hugged me, I thought you had mistaken me for somebody else. I'm really sorry I was so rude, and I didn't say anything. I was just like standing there like a plum. And she goes, pal. She's like, of course I remember you. I remember London, and you were so. And she said to me, I know she said it then. Another time she said, when she came to London, she didn't know anybody. She was at this party. And I went up to her husband and said hi, and I went, and then I said hi to her. I've got a great photo of that. And she said, I remember you because when I was in London, she said, you were like the only person who knew me. And she said, and would you like to meet my friend? He had come to meet another person, and she was introducing me to all like the superstars. These are people that people queue up for like an hour to take a selfie with. And but I will just say, it's not because of that party in London that Loretta remembered me, because I've seen on social media so many people saying to her and saying about her, this is the thing, I can't believe this. I went to a grocery store and Loretta Bates was there, and she remembered me, and she knew what training I did, and she knew this, she did this. And so for me, I'm talking about teachers and things like that. Sometimes, the teacher that we need is one who believes in you when you don't believe in yourself. And then, and then you go on and it gives you the courage to then, like me, go into another training and another training. Because I believe that the teachers are going to treat me well. And I believe that if I go to a training and some instructor, or just a regular class, if I go to a regular class and there's an instructor that doesn't treat me half as good as they're at a base, it's their problem. It is not my problem. And that's so important, because we also have a lot of teachers out there, not just in Zumba, but in fitness, in spiritual things, and whatever. And you kind of go in and you say, well, I've got this, I don't really understand this bit, or you do that. They go, and they look at you like, well, I've got an advanced class that's £1 million that you can do, and then I'll teach you how to deal with that, So we got these kind of charlatan teachers, I would call them. And some of them don't even know they're charlatans. Some of them honestly do not know that they're teaching a bunch of and that's okay, because as long as you have enough great teachers in your life, and I would always say have variety, as long as you have enough great teachers in your life, it's going to become easier to spot the dodgy ones. As long as you have enough good friends in your life, it becomes easier to spot the dodgy friends, the people who are just trying to use you, okay, and other problems you might have with friends. So that's the thing about teachers, okay. So I don't want to take too long, because this is actually kind of fun, but not as tiring as teaching a Zumba class. But still, I know you've got other things to do. Another great thing about Zumba, what I love, is we have thousands of types of music. Excuse me. And what I love is that also they've always introduced me to types of music that I wouldn't have been introduced to otherwise. And one of those is African. So yesterday I did a masterclass with Ricardo Marmite. I hope I said his name right. And he's not the first guy I did an African workout with. I did an African workout with Mo Diakati. Email me if you want to get his proper name. My pronunciation's not great. And we did an African workout with Mo, and Mo was like, did this African workout, and I was like, wow, this African music speaks to me. This African music speaks to my heart. I was like, oh yeah. I might not be able to samba. That was back then. I might not be able to samba. My merengue may be a bit iffy. My reggaeton may not be that cool. Okay? But give me African. Give me a little bit of African, and I can go there. And then you start to, when I started to learn African music, all the different rhythms, the songs, the stories, everything, it was like, I'm learning about the birds and the bird. Oh, it's so good, right? I'm learning about the leopards. I'm learning about, somebody was saying about giraffe, learn about the giraffe. And the moves come from that. But then you go back, and I was looking at it, and I was like, African music. And I've learned so much about music and rhythms and drumming and all this kind of stuff. And there are tribes where, people go into like a trance when they're dancing. I was the music is telling the truth. The music is telling the story. And when the tribes people, when the African hunters, they can't hunt, they can't hunt because it's the wrong time of year, because of the rain. They can't hunt because they're ill, because they're sick. What happens is we drum, yeah? What happens is we tell the stories of the great hunt. What happens is we practice the move, we practice the spear throwing, we practice this. We stay in it, we do all this work because it's healing, because it keeps us whole, it keeps us healthy, it keeps us alive. If you're feeling lacking in aliveness, well, listen, African music will get you there. And one of the worst times in my life, I'm just going to check the time here. Okay, we got a little bit of time. One of the worst times in my life was the third convention I went to. And what had happened was I had kind of opened up a wound. I had opened up an injury. I had opened up grieving. It was amazing how many people I met at that convention who were going through something, and we really supported each other going through that. And when I came, the first morning of convention, I was fighting really hard. I was fighting really hard. I was being the spiritual warrior, because I was allowing my grief to come out and to come up, and it was ripping me apart. It was something I had pushed down. This grief was something I pushed down for, maybe 30 years, as I pushed it down. And sometimes we push down pain and injuries and problems so much, it's like they become part of us. But they're not. They're not part of us. they're meant a transient thing, you know. There's something that's meant to kind of be released, like those wisdom teeth or something, you know. And the pain, you know, the pain and the fear and I would actually use the word anguish that I was experiencing at that moment. And I just remember being, you know, it was so bad because it was like, is it, you know, Zumba's really making me feel bad, you know, Zumba's making me feel terrible. And it's killing me, you know, Zumba's killing me, you know, I've got to stop doing this. But I'm on my first day of convention, you know. And what I realized was it wasn't the Zumba, it was the grief. You know, the Zumba was kind of, it was the process. The Zumba was the healing, you know. And I was trying to let go. And don't ever let anyone tell you that healing is easy or painless or anything. You know, to release this, you know, to feel these feelings I pushed down for so long. Damn tough, damn tough. And I remember I went in and I did, so we had the keynote, we had the opening, and that was, kept it together, you know, it was not too bad, you know. And then we went into, and what I did was a session with a guy called, I'm going to try and get his name right, Lucas. I'll send an email if you want the name. Lucas is amazing, from South Africa. And Lucas and his partner, we were doing this session together. We were like, this was South African township rhythms. And, you know, I can't, it's just amazing. And, you know, we have these moments in the sessions we do, and very often we get a thing where somebody goes, right, does anybody want to come to the front and do, and I'm like, I do, you know, this was different because it was kind of small, it was a smaller room. And what we did was we created a circle. You know, you've probably seen this in tribal dancing. So we're in a circle, and you know, every so often somebody comes into the middle of the circle, you know, and we did a little bit. And so we weren't making out. It was a move that we had learned. You know, there was nothing too fancy about it. And I was hanging back, feeling dreadful, but still, you know, going through the motions in my bare feet, doing my thing. And what happened was his partner, Lucas's partner, I'm sorry I forget her name, she reaches out. So she's in the middle of the circle, and she reaches out, and she pulls me in to this circle. And she reached out, she pulled me into the circle. And I just felt such love. You know, when I did the move, it was, you know, nothing too fancy, you know, it wasn't like being put on the spot, it was like being included. And I guess if I could try and sum up that feeling and that experience in words, it would be, we still love you. We know you're a mess, we know you're having a tough day. You are still included. You are part of this circle. And that just, you know, it was a part of the healing of saying, no matter how bad I feel, I'm still loved. I'm still loved by this group of people. That's great. Yeah, it's pretty good, right? So I'm trying to remember, there's one more story I wanted to tell you, and I'm not sure if I can remember. Oh, yes. So, talking about all this kind of dance and movement and everything, and it's so great. This is one of the really important things about ancient wisdom and spiritual learning and just education in general. And, you know, one of the things I've learned from studying mathematics, biology, even English literature and language, and French especially, you know, different languages, things like that. And let me apply this to Zumba and try and get you to the end. There's a lot in this session, and I think hopefully a lot for you. When we learn a rhythm, you know, so we learn dembo, African, merengue, salsa, something like this, we often learn like the basic steps. Da, 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 da. You know, it's very simple. And we kind of stay at that level in terms of being an instructor because there's always people who need those basic steps. And what happens when we get to a certain point, the only way for us to evolve and move on is we have to let go of everything that we know. So I remember when I went to study A-level biology, and I remember walking into the room, we'd done GCSE, and the teacher saying to me, he said, right, everything that you learn at GCSE biology, he said, is a lie. Because we taught it to you in a way that you could understand it. You know, so we had to teach it in a simplified form. That form is wrong. So forget everything you know about biology, and now we're going to have to learn the more complex thing. And it's the same thing with maths. You learn things in a simple way, and you get to a point you have to like let go of that and kind of get to, if I'm talking about wisdom, we have to go to a deeper wisdom. So maybe that's the reason why we have so many problems in the sort of spiritual nature things, in that we don't think about manifesting or, you know, certain aspects of it, is that if we get stuck in this kind of middle ground, we don't ever get to the deeper wisdom. You know, and I hope that I've got some deeper wisdom through all the stuff that I've done. And I've been taught deeper wisdom by people who really know and who've studied for a long time. And so it's very difficult because it's something, you know, there's stuff that's right for us. Like say, for example, I'm teaching you know, if I was teaching a video, I would teach very simple, you know, and then we might take it up. And if I'm teaching salsa, you know, so it might start very simple, and then there's a certain point where I might just add in a lot of like and then I might add so much flavour that you don't even recognise the move anymore. It looks like something completely different. And a bit like coming back to my very first teacher, he would teach something with such style, I couldn't understand it. He was so good, I couldn't kind of follow him. So there's nothing really wrong with any of those things. It's just finding the right teacher for you at the right level. And when I went on my Camino, I had to leave them behind. And it was one of the hardest things I ever did, you know, to let go. And I remember being in Granada, and that's the, you know, one of the homes of flamenco. And I could hear the flamenco beat through the mountain where I was sleeping in the cave. Sleeping in a cave, yeah, I could feel this, the flamenco. I was like, oh. But I knew I had to let go of it. I knew I had to let go of the music. I had to go of that because I needed to kind of get into silence, and I needed to, you know, if you can let go of something, the truth will always be the truth. You know, when you kind of walk away from a friendship or a family member, that love, you know, when you let go of trying to maintain a relationship, it kind of, very often it comes back even stronger. Because you just let go of it. You say, you know what? I accept this person exactly as they are. I expect myself exactly as I am. And if it makes it too difficult for us to be together, we just have to let go of that. And that's a you know, kind of love. But what happened was when I was traveling, I went to Mexico. And this is what I want to end on now, was with Don Miguel Ruiz and his sons, and we were doing this amazing thing. And I remember, you know, walking in, it was like, I walked into this place and there was Don Miguel Ruiz sitting there in his hat, and I was like, who's that old man in a hat? I was like, oh my God, it's Don Miguel Ruiz. Boy, I can't say hello, I'm too jet lagged, I'll say something stupid, you know, I'll say something. This has happened to me many times. I've missed a lot of great opportunities because I'm like, oh no, I can't say hello, I'm too shy, you know. Don't ever be shy, just say hello. Because then we had some amazing conversations and experiences after that. But this was New Year's Eve, which was, we were like there for 3 or 4 days. So we had this New Year's Eve, and we had these Aztec dancers come out, and there was drumming, and it was feathers, and everything was on it. And I was sitting there, and I've like studied so much dance. And this woman came out, this woman dressed in green, with green body paint and feathers. And this woman walked out, and she danced. And it was like, da, da, da. Yeah, da, da, da. It was like that. It was like, and there was no smiling. It was all just power. And it was like, wow. I was like, oh my God, wow. I want to dance like her. I really want to dance like that. I remember that thing. I was, oh, what was that? What was that move? How did she do that? What was that music? What has she got? What has she got that I don't have? How do you learn to dance like that? Wow. I was like, wow. And so I carried on my journey, and this was, bugging me for weeks, months. I was like, what is it? What is it? How can I possibly learn to dance like this person? She was so amazing. I can train. I've done all these conventions. I've done all these trainings. I've watched so many videos, I've done all this, I've done all this. What am I missing? What do I not have? Why am I not enough? What do I need to be like that? What do I need to perform like that? And then one day, it hit me. And I'm going to end on this. And it's so simple. And I realised it was not what she had. It was what she didn't have. Because she danced without fear. She danced just with like innocence and purity and wisdom and all those wonderful words. And she just didn't care. Because she had a confidence and a knowing, you know, that knowing that she was good enough, that knowing that she was, you know, she was a bird with those feathers. She was a dancer. She was an Aztec warrior. She was a spiritual warrior. And she stayed in my mind. You know, those, you know, literally probably about 30 seconds of dance just burned in my mind. And, you know, for me, that 30 seconds of dance was a fantastic lesson. And I'm just going to keep trying to be that person, that teacher that performed without fear. Because that's, you know, it's so simple, right? So simple. And yet I remember what that looked like. So I'm going to keep working and trying to teach that. It's a bit like when I do a great masterclass with salsa and I see a hero, just an amazing dancer, and I go, right, I'm going to keep practicing. Because one day I'm going to teach that. Maybe I am already. That would be cool, right? But one day I would like to give other people that experience that I got from her. I didn't really like her very much. No, she wasn't friendly or nice or fluffy or anything like that. She just came in and just wowed everybody and walked away. 30 seconds. It's like, wow. Hey, I wouldn't like to teach that all the time. Just sometimes, you know. I'd like to have that in my box of tricks. So anyway, I hope that answers some things about ancient wisdom. I've written about 70 books about it. My 500 healing experiences book is about 700 pages. So this is a very short little bit. If you've got any questions, let me know. Talk to me. I'm human. And I'm quite nice most of the time. Yeah. Okay, apart from when I'm doing my 30 seconds without fear. Take it easy. Love you. I hope it helps. And, you know, maybe I'm too weird a teacher for you. That's fine. Or too normal. That's fine. But don't be afraid to reach out and find great teachers, because there are so many. There are so many people who support and help and teach you. And the world is full of amazing people. Really amazing people. Take care. Love you. Bye.